We have a wild Texans trade update involving one of the better defensive linemen in the NFL. He just got a massive contract extension, and I would be shocked if Houston traded this player. He's probably the cornerstone of the team. Although he does turn 31, there are other expectations in terms of when is his decline. But if you can't notice it for yourself, if you're an average watcher of the show, behind me the background's a little bit different. A little back home, you might be like, Mike, what are you wearing? I'm going to a wedding actually today, but we got to talk some Texans. If you're new to the channel, 75% of you are not subscribed. And as for the topic today, it's Denil Hunter. And we have a thing here saying that the Texans should trade Denil Hunter, as J.J. Watt kind of called him one of the more underrated players in the NFL. If I can find the clip here. Yeah, J.J. Watt on Denil Hunter. He is criminally underrated, and that's what you have to understand is Denil Hunter last season, if you look at his stats, one of the better edges in the league in terms of next to Will Anderson. That is one of the better duos in the NFL. I don't have the stats, I don't know why, but as far as the numbers, he had 12 sacks last year, and he could very well do that again. There it is right there. Denil Hunter, a Pro Bowler, 12 sacks with Houston last year, and with Will Anderson taking on more of a leadership role in year 3, I mean, this is looking really fun to watch for this Texans roster. But my question is, why would you consider trading him? Looking at how jacked he is this offseason, look at his offseason workouts. I mean, he is going crazy. This was a clip just the other day, but, I mean, he is going 100%. I mean, you just look at him. He's going hard. And, I mean, it's not to say that it doesn't look like a different Denil Hunter. It looks like the same guy he may be getting older, but that proves it to you right there that he is still playing at that high level. And being next to Will Anderson, he's not asked to do the number one role that he was supposed to be in Minnesota when Jonathan Grenard went to Minnesota and then Denil Hunter went to Houston. So realistically, I think Will Anderson is the one here. At least that's what it's starting to transition into. And Hunter can have a little bit of a Robin role to now Batman in terms of, I really do think Will Anderson is that guy to where he can be a number one. It's just a matter of Hunter is helping him not get double teamed, because you can't double team Will Anderson and Denil Hunter. So that's the thing, is you're looking at both of these guys. It's incredible. So as far as this take in terms of why Denil Hunter should be traded, it's to go get an offensive piece. And I really don't hate it in terms of the idea of going out and getting a top-notch offensive lineman. Realistically, this article was back in June, so 2 days ago. But it's a question as to, why would you go get a top-flight wide receiver? What are you going to trade Denil Hunter for as a wide receiver? You're not getting one of the top 5 receivers in the league. You don't want to get a Mike Evans. No offense. I mean, that's a great player. But I don't think the Texans need a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. Maybe you go trade for Terry McLaurin because he wants a contract extension, but the Texans are never going to do that. If they're going to trade Hunter, it's going to be mid-season because he's not having the best season, and they go trade it for an offensive lineman because one of your guys isn't working out, whether it's your left guard in the newly recruited Seattle player who I cannot remember at the moment, Laken Tomlinson, slipped my mind for a second. But it's whether Laken Tomlinson is playing bad as a veteran, and you say, okay, Hunter, he's got like 4 sacks. We see him in film. He looks a little different. But that is highly unlikely in terms of what I just showed the clip of when Hunter is just going crazy in these offseason workouts and how jacked he does look. So this team is a lot better than trading one of their star players on defense. And if you do trade Hunter, who the heck is going to step up and fill his place? This is just not a smart idea. Realistically, he's a standout player, and you signed him to that contract extension. Yes, it was massive, but not only did he deserve it, but he's still going to play at that high level for this season. At least I believe so. So Hunter posted 12 sacks last year. I was really curious as to how he was going to play last year, considering the Vikings. When he was on the Vikings, I was questioning that decline. He's 30, turning 31 in October, and he has not slowed down one bit. And having Will Anderson next to him, that is a threat of a defensive line to play with. Not to mention, Sheldon Rankins is in the mix now, getting that signing. He fits very perfectly in the DeMeco Ryans system. I mean, just a guy who can plug up the middle. Again, rushes the passer very well. We'll see if Autry's still on the team. Denico Autry could be another nose tackle, D tackle that just rotates in there with Lorenzo Fatukasi. But let me know your thoughts on the defensive line, because when you're looking at Denil Hunter, it's a matter of why would you trade him? There is no real reason why you should trade him. The timing of the notable this offseason, the 1 year 30s, like it's just a bunch of bogus fluff stuff that we're just trying to make a reason and we're trying to make an explanation that Denil Hunter, one of the cornerstones on the, maybe not cornerstone considering he's getting older, but he's still one of the better players on that defense. You have Derek Stingley, Will Anderson, and then I think the next guy up is Danielle Hunter. I mean, there really isn't a debate. You do have another guy in the secondary in terms of C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but that's another older veteran. Not to say that he's not going to make a difference, but he could be a little bit slower in terms of his age and regression, but he's not even 30 yet. So you're looking at this Texans defense. There's no real need to just sell on Denil Hunter unless he has a ferocious, like that bad of a season to where there's teams interested and you can still get a decent amount of value for him. That I'm fine with, but you have to look at all the options here and understand that Denil Hunter is somebody you don't need to trade. And I mean, realistically, he is looking really scary, especially in that video. And as much fear that I have in the Texans defense, this is where the comments kind of are like, oh, what are you, crazy? This is going to be a top 3 defense. I don't disagree. However, when a team plays very well on one side of the football, you question whether they can replicate that season. I'll give a good example. Eagles won the Super Bowl last year, best defense in all of football. It's hard to be the best defense in football 2 seasons in a row. So most likely they're going to regress. Now they probably won't do that a lot because they still have a good defense. Howie Roseman got a nice Georgia edge in the draft who fell. But my point is the Texans defense was top 10. And as long as DeMeco Ryans is there, I'm not worried. But I'm a little bit skeptical as to we've had players with injury history. We've had players that, and again, injury is part of the game, but my fear is this defense is going to be like the offense was last year. They got this high expectation. They're expected to be one of the top 5, one of the best defenses in the league this year because of Denil Hunter, because of Derek Stingley, because of Will Anderson, because of everybody else on the team. And realistically, on paper, yes, the Texans defense is one of the best in the league. If you trade Hunter, that's definitely not the case. That's the first thing. Second thing, that expectation that the Texans had on offense last year being a top 10 offense and then them falling off a cliff offensively, yes, it wasn't the players. It was more of the scheme. The O-line didn't hold up. The play calling was bad. But if you're understanding what I'm saying here, the expectation on defense this year is the same expectation that was on the offense last year, and they played, no offense, pretty badly. So that may not be the case this year. It could be, it's just me speculating. It's me having a superstition that when you believe in a team, they're just not going to be good. Obviously, that's not the case with a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, who have had the hate narrative on them for like the past few years, and then they just go to the Super Bowl every year. So I guess there are exceptions, but there are teams that were expected to be high horse, power horse teams, whatever you want to call it, but like the 49ers. Expect to be one of the better teams in the league, fell off a cliff, were the last team in the division, and now we don't know what's going to happen with them. When do the Texans fall off? I don't think that this year is the year, especially with the way the AFC South is shaping up. And if the defense does play up to standard in terms of even if it's a top 10, top 15 defense, and the offense can bounce back from what it was last year, play more of like it did in its rookie season in terms of the matchups and the rankings and how many points can you average. If the Texans can score 24 points inside and out week after week, there's no reason to get rid of Hunter, and there's no reason they shouldn't be winning at least 10, 12 games this year. That's my take on this team. And looking at the defense, yes, I am a little bit scared. You could call me crazy in the comments, but just looking at it from an outsider perspective, I'm just like, I don't know. The buzz about the defense, but the fans, you let me know what you think. But Denil Hunter is reportedly should be traded in terms of per Silverman here. So Sports Illustrated, I don't understand it. Realistically, if you're going to trade Hunter, you're going to trade him because he's not having the best year, or you can get a very great player. And I mean like Jamar Chase level great, but that's not a type of player you can get from trading a 30-year-old defensive end. That's just me. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. This has been Mike Zanetti, Texans Digest. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.